The whole COVID situation magnifies the challenges that we have.
Politics during a pandemic. Dysart Unified Superintendent Dr. Quinn Kellis says it's certainly not ideal, but Arizona's current funding formula for education makes it essential.
To be able to put our students on the same plane as their peers across the country, they need the same amount of funding to be able to have the same opportunities.
The district asking voters to continue their current 15% maintenance and operation budget override, now in its final year of full funding. The measure generates more than $22 million for things like teacher salaries and retention, classroom resources for reading and math, music, arts and athletics, and full-day kindergarten. Last year, voters rejected both the override and a bond measure. If it doesn't pass this time,
we would have to cut $7 million this year.
What are we talking about cutting when it comes to those $7 million?
That's a hard thing to tell people now that their job is in jeopardy. But when 80% of our budget is people, and we have to cut such a large amount, then it's going to involve people.
The district forced to make that decision back in 2015, laying off more than 140 teachers after a failed override. Still, some community members argue the voters already voiced their decision last year. One resident saying the override was originally approved in 2000 as a temporary measure, and it's time for the override to sunset. Another calling this year's measure insulting and egregious, considering the state of our economy.
We're not asking our taxpayers to pay a higher tax rate right now, just continuing the current rate that we have. And that was one of the implications that the board considered when they called for the election.
The board also choosing not to put the bond on this year's ballot, keeping plans for building a new school on hold.
The needs are still there. We'll just have to go with what we have for another year or two, and then we'll come back for the bond if the board so chooses.
In El Mirage, Danielle Lerner, ABC 15, Arizona.